So after that crazy round one series, Jazz and Nuggets, we get Nuggets Clippers now. As we know, Jamal Murray was absolutely ridiculous in that series, averaging 32, 6, and 5 on like 50-50 shooting, 50-50, 90 shooting. Insane, man. But it's safe to say that Jamal Murray will not have that type of series in this series against the Clippers. The questions are, who guards Jamal Murray and how did the Clippers guard him as a team? First and foremost, I will say this, the Nuggets will definitely provide a more entertaining and more unpredictable series than the Jazz would. The Jazz would just get steamrolled, but there is hope for the Nuggets. So I don't know the status of Patrick Beverley yet, if he's going to be playing game one or whenever he's going to come back in this series, if he is going to come back in the series. But in the meantime, Reggie Jackson will be on Jamal Murray for the most part. I was thinking Morris, but Morris might be a little bit too slow to stay with Jamal Murray and his like quick handles and stuff like that. We know Jamal Murray won't pose as big as a threat as Luka did, because obviously he's not on Luka's level. But he could give the Clippers some real problems. Reggie Jackson, I'm not too sold on defensively. So I think Jamal Murray will do his thing, but not to the extent that he has been. Now, hopefully, if Jamal Murray gets hot, they just put Kawhi and PG on him for an extended period of time. I know Kawhi was guarding Luka more in that Game 6 closeout game, but I just want to see more of that, especially PG. If he's not going to hit his shots, like at least play some defense, at least pick up the best offensive player on the other team, right? That's the least you could do out there. It'll be interesting to see if Jamal Murray will get trapped in this series at all. As I recall, they didn't really trap Luka too much, but when they did, it was kind of okay. It was whatever. But I think they can have some success with trapping Jamal Murray, just because I know Jokic is out there, but the other shooters are kind of questionable at times. Like Millsap, Grant, Torrey Craig, even Gary Harris, he's come back from his injury and he hasn't looked too great on the offensive side yet. So I think the Clippers can kind of afford to leave some of these guys open. But the thing is with Jamal Murray, I just want to continue to see him stay aggressive. I want to continue to see him staying consistent. That's the biggest thing for me with Jamal Murray. I think this is a huge series for Jokic. All the talk has been on Jamal Murray, but I think Jokic can have a big series. Obviously, KP had a lot of success versus the Clippers, averaging 24-9 on 50-50 shooting. I also want to see a lot of Murray Jokic pick and roll. So if they do decide to trap Jamal Murray, I mean, you got the outlet guy, Jokic, right there. And Jokic is going to make a great pass. He's going to make the right play either way. So that's going to help them out a lot. But the thing is, for the Nuggets, the other guys, Monte Morris, Jeremy Grant, can Millsap not be horrible? Can Gary Harris hit a few wide open shots? Can Torrey Craig hit a few wide open shots? Will we see more MPJ in this series? Will Mike Malone change up the lineup a little bit? I think he should probably take out Monte Morris and put in Gary Harris again. Hopefully he's healthy enough to play like big time minutes. Which brings me to my next point. Will Gary Harris be healthy enough to guard either Kawhi or Paul George for an extended period of time? That's going to be something to look out for. Jeremy Grant, I'm assuming, is going to be on Kawhi. But regardless of who's guarding PG, can Paul George ride the momentum from the Game 6 onto this series as a whole? Does he have a slow start again this series? I don't think Paul George can afford to have another slow start in this series, man, because the Nuggets are they just have a little bit more than what Dallas had, you know what I mean? Dallas was pretty good, but better than what I thought they'd do. But Denver is a better team than Dallas and a better defensive team than Dallas. So I do expect Paul George to bring it early, you know what I mean? Be aggressive early, not be passive for the first 3-4 games of the series like he was versus the Mavs. As far as Kawhi goes, I think Kawhi will be perfectly fine. No matter who's on him, Torrey Craig, Jeremy Grant, Paul Millsap, he's going to have his way. But I want to see Denver try to trap Kawhi too. If he's getting to his mid-range spot at will, like he did against Dallas for most of the series, I want to see them get the ball out of his hands, you know what I mean? Force Reggie Jackson to shoot. Force Landry Shamet to shoot. Force Marcus Morris to shoot. You know what I mean? Anyone but Kawhi is going to beat me. That's how I'm going into the series from a mentality aspect if I'm the Denver Nuggets. Now, the separator here in this series, I think the biggest separator is the fact that the bench scoring for the Clippers would just be too much for Denver to handle. I expect Montrezl to have a big series. I think he's going to just bully Jokic at times. And even Plumlee, if he's out there. I think Lou Will's going to do his thing for the most part. He had a great series last series. But if I'm the Nuggets, I'm starting Gary Harris. I'm taking Monte Morris out the lineup. I want a little bit more size out there. I want a little bit more defense out there. Even though Denver has a way better defense than what Dallas has, I still think their defense is not good enough. I feel like they need one more 3-and-D piece. And I wish I was Michael Porter Jr., but as we saw in the Denver series, he got absolutely abused and his minutes went way down. He got taken out of the lineup, A big thing for the Nuggets is who is going to be that 3-and-D guy. Gary Harris is going to bring the defense, but can he knock down some shots? Torrey Craig's going to bring the defense, but can he knock down some shots? Michael Porter Jr. is going to bring the offense, but can he defend anybody? Jeremy Grant's going to bring the defense, but can he hit shots consistently? Millsap, is he going to do anything in this series? He only had one double-digit game in the last series. With that being said, the X factors in the series, one is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic needs to insert himself big time in this series. He can't just be trying to pass the ball all day long and trying to do all these handoffs. I think he has to take over in this series. If the Nuggets are going to have a chance to win, he has to take advantage of Zubats. He has to take advantage of a smaller Montrezl Harrell and force Clippers defense to change up a little bit. Force them to maybe try to double him in the post, and then, as we know, Jokic is a great passer. He can pass it out to guys, and hopefully guys can hit open shots. 2, bench scoring. I think the Clippers have a clear advantage with bench scoring. I mean, the Clippers have an advantage over everyone when it comes to bench scoring, but especially in this series, the Nuggets lineup is pretty wishy-washy, so I don't think they'll have enough scoring on the offensive end, especially from the bench. And of course, the three-point shooting. It's going to come down to Gary Harris and Monte Morris and Jeremy Grant and Paul Millsap and Torrey Craig hitting these shots, versus Reggie Jackson and Lou Will and Landry Shamet and Marcus Morris hitting their shots, because they got to feed off this. They got to be able to feed off the stars. And with that being said, man, the Clippers having a clear advantage with the bench. The Nuggets not having enough on the offensive end. And pretty much the Clippers really having a wake-up call in that first round. I think they'll be extra focused, extra sharp. I'll have the Clippers in 5 games in this series. Hopefully it goes longer. I can potentially see it going 6 if Paul George wants to play like Pandemic P again. But other than that, I can't see no way the Clippers give up more than 2 games in this series. Give up more than 1 game in this series as the quest for a championship goes on. And with that being said, man, this is Jimmy from Just the Facts. The last second round preview video is coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But this is Jimmy from Just the Facts, and I'm signing out. Peace.